Hello everyone, welcome to Difedas Creations. On this channel, I teach how to draft, I teach how to cut, I teach how to sew. Basically, this is a sewing channel. If you are new here, please subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell so that you can get notified whenever a new video is uploaded. To my subscribers, I say thank you for your support. It's nice having you guys around. Now, today's tutorial is a simple one and it's going to be on how to draft a princess dart blouse with a yoke. The yoke in this case is going to be around the neckline. This is actually a work in progress. It's not yet complete, but this is a bodice, a half cut. You can see. So it's still a work in progress, but this is what the yoke is going to look like. It's going to be attached to the neckline of the blouse. In this case, the yoke is serving as a beautifier. It's beautifying the blouse in the sense that there's a contrast in the colors. This is black and this is blue. So you can see that the color combination differs, thereby bringing out the beauty of the outfit. So sometimes yokes beautify. In fact, yokes always make beautify outfits, especially when used in this way. So you know there are bodice yokes, but in this case mine is just going to be limited to the neckline. So but before proceeding into that yoke tutorial, I just want to show you how to easily cut a princess dart blouse before concentrating on the yoke. So can you see? It's very simple and easy to make. Now I have my fabric folded in two, and this is going to cater for the front of the outfit. This is for the front, and it's folded in two, as you can see. So if you are going to draft on fabric, don't forget that all necessary measurements should be added, because you are not going to transfer it elsewhere. This is the fabric, not pattern paper. Now what I mean is that your apex, add half an inch to it. Your shoulder, add half an inch to round armhole. All your measurements should have half an inch extra so that there will be no shortfall. You will get what I'm saying now. In this case, the bust span measurement is 11 and 11. I'm going to add half an inch to it. Half an inch here would cater for joining the shoulder, the back to the front. So that is what I mean. Now let's get started. I want to input the measurements, and I want to believe that you have the basic knowledge of how to draft a bodice block or even a blouse block. Now I'm going to mark the points and rule them out afterwards. Don't forget, if you are new here, please subscribe to my channel. Now let's rule. I folded the center front in two. And I have added my needed allowances, since this is on fabric and not on paper. Now, the actual length of the gown is 25. I'm going to add 1.5 inches for seam. That's I'm going to join the lining to this. I'll attach the lining to it. So I'll add 1.5 inches to it. So don't forget to click on the subscribe button and the notification bell as well, so that you can get notified whenever a new video is up. loaded. Let me straighten my line. Now let's get our measurements. Now the shoulder measurement here is 17. 17 divided by 2 would give us 8.5. I'll add half of an inch to it for seam, and I have 19. Right from this point, just mark 3.5. Look at it. Just take note of 3.5 there. Now, what is your actual round armhole measurement? The actual round armhole measurement I'm considering using is 17. I'm going to add half an inch to that as well to serve as the allowance for joining shoulder, the front to the back. So that's what I meant when I said add half an inch to your shoulder as well. Now, my shoulder measurement has increased. So let's cut our shoulder slope because you know it's not straight. Okay, now we want to actually, this is 9 inches. I want a straight line. And I'm going to connect to those points. Let's check for accuracy here as well. 9 inches. You can see I'm correct. Now, I want to find the midpoint of this 9 inches. But before I do that, don't forget that half an inch was included for joining the shoulders. So I usually disregard that because I don't want to factor it in to the part of the round armhole measurement. Now I have 8.5, sorry. 8.5 divided by 2 would give us 4.5. Look at it. This 4.5, which is half of that measurement. You go in by 3/4 of an inch. Now come here, input your bust circumference divided by 4. I'm considering a bust circumference of 43. And if you divide 43 by 4, you would have 10.75. So this is it. That's the actual. Now, I'm going to come here and connect right. I'll join this to this point. Can you see? Now, I'll stop here for a while and I'll come to this apex point line and input my bust span measurement, which is 8.5. 8.5 in this case would be divided by 2, and I would have 4.25. So 4.25. Look at it, this is 4.25. But because I'm cutting directly on fabric, I have to provide for seam as well. This is no longer 4.25. I'll add half an inch to attach the seams, the mid and side panels together. So it's now 4.75. Can you see? And that is what I will mark all through, 4.75 all through. I'm cutting directly on fabric. That is why I am doing this. If it were to be on pattern paper, I wouldn't do this. I would just use the actual measurement. Now, so at this point here, I'll just come down by 1.5 inch for ease. 1.5 inch for ease. Now, measure round your armhole, measure round up to this point, and what do you have? I have 10 here. Nine 3/4. 9 3/4 divided by 2. 9 3/4 divided by 2. Look at it. It's not going to be so accurate. So you can see this is 4 3/4 and okay. Now let's find a way of Okay, I'm going to use 4 3/4 here. Look at it. This is 4 3/4. Now, we are joining both mid panel and side panels together. So, I want to add allowance for darts to this fabric. I'll provide for darts, and that would be 1 inch for both. Look at it, half 1 inch, because half is going to be for the mid panel while the other half is going to be for the side panel. Now, from this point, this midpoint, I'm going to find a way to connect here without any sharp edge. It's as simple as that. Without any sharp edge, I want to simply connect. Can you see now? Can you see the way it looks? This is just this. This is the way it looks. Now, at the on the bust area, I won't do anything because I don't want to reckon with it in this tutorial. I'll come to the waist. I'll take 1 inch dart on both sides, and I'll take that 1 inch all through, right down to the length of the blouse. There's different ways of making blouses. They all come out with different effects. So I'm going to make today's blouse this way. Now, I've taken 1 inch on both sides. Now, here, like I said, we are going to ignore that under bust line and curve. I'll find a way of connecting straight. Connect to that waistline and ensure it's not sharp. Can you see? Please make sure it's not sharp. Now, from this point as well, you are going to connect this together. Can you see? All your darts together to shape the armhole. It will shape the armhole. The darts will shape the armhole. Look at it. Can you see? So, I'm simply taking in 1.5 here. I hope you can see. Now, that the 1 inch I took here, I'm going to return it here. That's the dart. I hope you can see. This is going to make up for that dart. Now we are going to join A and B together, middle panel and side panels together. I'll add 1 inch to it as well, so that there will be no short fall. Now I'm going to come here, add the 1 inch for joining seam, mid panel and side panel, and as well add 1.5 inches for the seam allowance. That's what I want to use anyway. That's why I added 1.5 inches. I want to use 1.5 inches. I'm comfortable with 1.5 inches. All you now need to do is extend this point so that there would be no shortfall. That is just what we are preventing, so that they can easily fit into each other and you would not start looking for fabric because you made a mistake. So this is okay. There is nothing can happen, especially with this 2 inches provision. You are more than secured. So we'll connect this to recreate our armhole. You can see we have recreated the armhole line. So now I'm not through yet. From this point, you can see I've not done anything here, but from this point I'm going to come straight down here. Look at it. Can you see? I also ignored the underbust line. See what I did there? To prevent any sharp edge, just do this straight this way. Connect it simply this way, and there will be no curved edge. You can always, you'll be able to manipulate your fabric the way you want, and you can see how smooth it is. So there are different ways and techniques of cutting this princess dart seams. So now let's input our actual measurements here. We've done that for the for this part to the waist. The actual waist circumference is 36. I'll divide 36 by 4, and that will give me 9 inches. I took 2 inches dart here. I'm going to add the 2 inches back. Now, don't forget that you are going to attach the mid and side panels together. Can you see? And then you're providing for seam allowance. That's just it. Can you see? It's as simple as that. Now to this portion, the hip measurement is 44, and this is 11. I'll mark that 11. I took 2 inches as well, that placement, and I'm going to join with 1 inch. I'm trying to make this as easy to understand as possible, and 1.5 inches for seam as well. Can you see? It's as simple as this. Now I'm going to connect these points together. Now before you cut, be sure of what you measured, please. Be sure. 9, the darts, the joining, the allowance. Okay, so here I have my actual plus the darts plus seam allowance to join both, plus the, all right. So now at this edge, you can choose to leave yours straight. That's up to you. You can decide to leave it straight or so, but I'll go upwards here by 1.5 inches, and I'll curve it inwards. Now it's as simple as this. Now to the neckline. This is the neck line. I want 3.5 neck width. Okay, 3.5 neck width is okay for me. So, and a neck depth of let's say 5.5 inches. So let me square this up. 3.5. Got it? Could just do this. Now I just want to make a nice smooth curve. Now this is what I will work with. Now this is what I'm going to work with. We are going to drafting. When we are through with this, I'm going to show you how to cut the yoke. You can see I'm cutting outside the line. Come here. Don't forget, you measure twice, you cut once, because you can't undo this kind of mistake when you are measured and you have cut out. Then there will be no way to undo your mistakes. So from this point, you're going to come in this way. Please look at it. That's the darts. Can you see how easy it is to measure and actually cut it out? It's not something difficult. Don't forget that you shouldn't leave any sharp edge. You don't need sharp edges, because if you have sharp edges, it will come out that way on your fabric, on your blouse. Now this is the front. I won't make the mistake of cutting from here, but I'll rather cut from here, our shoulder slope. Then come here. Can you see? Can you see? I don't want any curve. I don't want any curve. Can you see how easy this was? It's very easy to cut. So this is the mid panel. I'll just notch. I'll notch. You can see I didn't do anything at the under bust line. Now, to the most interesting part of the tutorial, which is cutting the yoke. Before you cut the neck yoke, ensure you have your lining piece cut out already. If you do not have your lining piece cut out, it's going to be difficult, because by the time you join the yoke to the bodies in this case, you would need something to measure to know whether you accurately measured, you got your measurement right. Because by the time you fit your yoke back into the actual fabric, it has to align well, it has to sit, and they ought to be of the same measurement. Now this is the lining piece. I'll quickly cut the mid. I'll cut this out. We'll need it on standby to check for accuracy after joining the yoke to the mid part. Please subscribe to my channel once again if you are new here. This is Difedas Creations on YouTube. Now I'm going to cut the mid panel out, because that's what we need here. And this is the lining piece. I ironed it out. Now look at it. Now this is the middle part of it. I'll show you the easiest way to cut a yoke. Even a beginner can pick this up easily. The easiest way to cut it. Now I'm trying to pin everything together so that it won't shift. Now cut the neckline out. Cut your neckline out. Now go to the shoulder slope. Make sure they also align. Good. Now this is my fabric. In this case, I'm going to use the same fabric for both the yoke and the outfit and the body of the blouse. You can cut the back part. You can use waist darts. You can cut it through You can use your well, you can use waist darts to cut the back part, but the reason why I limited myself to the front part is simply because of time, and the emphasis on the yoke is on the neckline, the front neckline. So that is why I emphasized on the front part. Now, this fabric is folded in two, and I have measured it. I know that it's going to be enough, because that's one thing you should do first. Ensure that your fabric is enough to cater for the yoke. Now, I want the width of my yoke to be, let's see. Okay. I want the width of the yoke to be 2.5 inches wide. Width, that's 2.5 inches wide. Now, how do I go about it? Look at this simple method. If you are going to cut your yoke, please place the fabric for the yoke. Make sure it's in excess, like half of an inch, at least half of an inch more than the yoke, the body itself. Like, I moved upwards here now by half of an inch. I don't want any shortfall after joining my neck yoke to the body. So, look at it. Now, all you need to do is mark your neck measurement out. I'm taking my time to explain this in bits because I know it's quite tricky. Look at it. So, this is the neck. Look at it. This is the neck. Now, you come, I want 2.5 inches wide yoke. On the fabric itself, I would remove 2 inches. That I will mark 2 inches on the fabric itself. 2 inches width. On the yoke, I won't mark 2 inches. But just wait, watch me and see what I'm doing. Now, I'm marking 2 inches. I want a width of 2.5 inches, but I'm marking 2 inches. Now, I want to be sure it's accurate. This is 2 inches. This is 2 inches. This should be 2 inches as well. Look at it. This should also be 2 inches. Now, look at it. Now I'll remove my pin because I want to detach the lining from the yoke, from the actual, from the fabric. Now that I've removed my lining, what do? I pin this in place so that it doesn't shift. Pin in place so that it doesn't shift. This is the actual fabric, mind you. Now, I measured 2 and I'm going to cut it out as neatly as possible so that the circle stays intact. So, this is the circle. I've removed what I want from it. I'll keep that aside. Now I'll come to the body, to the fabric for the yoke itself. You know, I removed 2 inches because I want a width of 2.5 inches. At the time of cutting your fabric, you would need to cut 3 inches. I removed 2 inches there. Now I'm returning 3 inches to it. By the time you sew both the yoke, you sew the yoke to the mid panel, you would no longer have a yoke of 2 inches. You will see that it would have increased by half of an inch. So I just want my measurements to be correct. So I'll find a way of joining this together, connect everything together, join them together so that the circle is at least close to being neat. Can you see? Now pin it in place as well. I'm going to pin it in place. Pin it in place and cut it out. Cut it out just this way. Come to the neck part, cut it out as well. And don't leave any edges, any sharp edges, please. It's just a beautiful neck yoke. Now, this is simply how to cut it. Can you see? By the time you open it up, you have it this way. Now, by the time you join this portion, you see, to that bodice, is not going to, you are not going to have this 3 inches wide yoke again. You are going to have 2.5 inches wide yoke. So I hope this tutorial has been of immense benefit to you. If it has been, please kindly subscribe, like, comment on my videos, ask questions, talk to me. Let me know your video suggestions. Let me know what you want to watch, and work towards making such available. And please share my videos, and once again, subscribe to them. So bye. Subscribe to my channel rather. Bye. Thank you for watching.